Hello, long time no see, long time no create this book 3. Let's fix that. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if it's not your first rodeo. My name is Rizzy, and I make silly little art and silly little stories to go with said silly little art. Telling stories was never a passion of mine, but honestly, when I'm recording voiceovers, I don't know what to say, so I just started coming up with stories, and you guys liked it, so I kept doing it. Currently, you've stumbled upon episode 8 in my Create This Book 3 series. It's a whole playlist. If you haven't seen the other episodes, go watch it after this. Anyways, let's hop right into this. I use a page picker spin wheel to help me choose at random, so it's not a bunch of deciding that I have to do. So I'm going to shut up and spin the wheel. And there we have it. Use only straight lines to make a design. Add color to the shapes created. I'll go do that now. Okay, voiceover Rizzy here, and I'm starting off with a ruler because I can't draw straight lines to save my life. I do freehand all the lines in the sketch, but when I do my line work, I use a ruler to trace it all over so it can look more straight. Honestly, this page was a little annoying because I typically lean toward like rounded, smooth lines for artwork, but this had to be angular, so I had to go angular, and I don't like angular. Maybe saying I don't like angular is a bit harsh. I just don't prefer it. But anyways, as you can see, I drew a floor, a box, and I'm drawing a shelf now, so
we are drawing a room.
I'm not really sure if what I did for this page counts as cheating. I mean, the instructions say just to draw a design with straight lines, and I did that, but it's not a typical stained glass piece. I basically just drew one of my normal illustrations, but just used straight lines instead of round lines, so if that's cheating, I cheated. I do end up coming up with a way to revive myself and stay within the instructions of the page, but that's gonna be later. But for now, we'll talk about the process of actually coming up with an idea for this page. Oh my gosh, it was stressful. So far for the prompts in this book, it has been fairly easy to come up with ideas, but this page, I just drew a huge blank and I sat there for no kidding, like 2 hours just staring at a blank page. Eventually, I came up with the idea of a cat because when in doubt, just draw a cat. That being said, I still didn't know exactly what to draw, so I went to Pinterest and found some little pictures of cats and sweaters because as we know, I like cats and sweaters. Very close to that picture of a cat and a sweater, I also found a picture of a cat and a box, so I was just like,
yes, there we go, a cat and a box and a sweater, that's the idea.
But the universe had a different plan for me because my drawing of a cat and a box and a sweater looked horrible. I know it's looked down upon to talk bad about your drawings, but guys, with the most fiery of passions, I hated this drawing. And I know I could have erased it and just redrew it in a different way, but at this point, I was just done with the idea of cat and a box and a sweater. But I was not completely ready to throw away the idea of a cat and a box, so that is where the final drawing idea came from. I ended up using all straight lines to draw a cat in a room in a box surrounded by a bunch of different cat toys and a cat tree, also found on Pinterest. Let's pause for a second so you guys can hear me when I say Pinterest is where it's at. I always hear artists talking about Pinterest boards and how Pinterest is such a great place for inspiration for drawings, and I'm always just like, nah, I'll use my brain. But when that same brain has been drawing several blanks for hours, stop it. Get some help. Go to Pinterest. I went from never really using it at all to now having several Pinterest boards, and it helps so much. Okay, I'm gonna stop flirting with Pinterest now and get on with the story, but before that, did you guys peep my camera angle changes? One camera angle is being filmed with my phone, so the quality is a little off, but your girl is trying to make professional changes to her channel. This whole YouTube thing, everything about what I'm doing, I'm very new to, so I don't really know all the ins and outs of everything yet, but I've been doing some research and I'm trying to make it look better for y'all. We got the camera angle changes. I have a colored background. I did my nails. I'm not playing around. Now all I have to do is get on a consistent posting schedule. Anyways, on to the story that saves me from having to go into detail about my drawing process. Okay, so the cat's name is Kit Kit. That's K-I-T-T, K-I-T. I don't know why. It just sounds good to me. Just go along with it. So Kit Kit here lives in a place called Straight Line Valley. Squiggly and round lines simply just do not exist here. Kit Kit is like many other cats. That's why you see her sleeping in a box rather than using her tree or playing with any of the toys that she's been gifted. She typically has a very straightforward day, no pun intended. She wakes up, eats her very straight edge food. She lies in the very linear rays of the sun. She may bat around a couple of her toys and then wreak havoc on her humans. She's just all straight to the point cat. One day, as Kit Kit is perusing the counters of her home, she spots one of her humans' cup of coffee. I think we all know where this is going. Kit Kit gets the internal cat urge that she must push, so she proceeds to scoot the cup of coffee to the edge of the counter. Once at the edge, something in her little teeny cat brain says, "Do it." So she pushes it. As the cup hits the ground, it shatters into 10 different pieces and the coffee goes flying everywhere in a very linear pattern. Jagged pieces of glass and straight lines of spilled coffee covered the floor. Kit Kit, being very proud of herself, then hops down to examine the mess that she has created. While examining the spill, Kit Kit thinks to herself,
This is your best masterpiece yet. You deserve a nap.
so she begins to head back to her nap box. She begins stepping over the little pieces of glass and liquid on the floor when she suddenly pauses. The fur on her back shoots up as she realizes one of the lines of coffee has a swirl in it. And this is not the kind of jagged zigzag swirl that she is used to. This one is rounded. Kit Kit is honestly a little bit scared, but more so she is curious. And don't worry, curiosity does not kill the cat in this story. She ultimately tries to ignore it and write it off as nothing, so she heads back to her box and falls asleep. Once asleep, she dives headfirst into a dream about being served a plate of the most fish that she has ever seen in her life. In the dream, she is sat up by her humans at a table and a bib is placed around her neck. Kit Kit's mouth has never watered for a plate of food so much in her life, and she is ready to dig in. She heads in for the top piece of fish, but is stalled by her nose suddenly starting to itch. She scrunches her nose up in slight discomfort, but then heads back in for a second attempt, only for her nose to start itching once more. At this point, it starts tickling way too much, and it's very distracting for Kit Kit. She then begins feeling a little more discomfort in the back of her throat, and then she sneezes! Not only did she sneeze in her dream, but she also sneezed in real life, and she sneezed herself awake. She's a little stunned, but quickly realized what happened, so she closes her eyes and tries to go back to sleep. But this time, it's a little more challenging because she hears what she can only describe as the pitter-patter of little feet. Upon hearing this, her eyes shoot back open and she is face to face with a tiny little mouse. First of all, her flappers are gassed because this tiny mouse had the courage to stand right in front of a cat, and you know what cats are known to do to mice. The mouse stares at Kit Kit for a few seconds and then turns around and starts walking away. It was at this point that Kit Kit realized that there was something more off than she had ever realized about this mouse. As far as she had been concerned, he looked like a very normal mouse. A very square nose, straight-lined back, and tiny straight-lined feet. But his tail was swirly. She was immediately brought back to the swirling coffee stain from earlier, and now she had a feeling that something strange was going on. That same cat curiosity reared its head again, and she was inclined to follow this mouse. She walked slowly and carefully behind this mouse, who actually did not seem alarmed by her presence in the slightest. The mouse walked out of her front door. Kit Kit followed. He walked down the sidewalk and into town. Kit Kit followed. She followed the mouse for miles through Straight Line Valley, always keeping up with its pace and always keeping her eye directly on him. Both Kit Kit and the mouse walked so far that they came to the edge of the valley. Kit Kit looked up at the wall of the straight, jagged mountain that they had stopped in front of, and then she looked back at the mouse. Without hesitation, the swirly-tailed mouse began to climb. Obviously, Kit Kit wasn't going to allow her journey to stop here, so she climbed after the mouse. About halfway up the side of the mountain, Kit Kit began to notice odd sightings. Not only did the mouse have a swirling tail, but Kit Kit now began to realize that rocks were curving. And a bit further up, she took notice that weeds growing out the side of the mountain were composed of both straight and curvy lines. This was all very mind-boggling for Kit Kit because up until now, she had never seen a curvy line in her life. And today, not only had she seen the one curling line, but she had seen over 20. As the pair reached the top of the mountain, Kit Kit began to feel a strange tingling in her paws. She wrote the feeling off as her feet just being tired of walking up the side of a whole mountain until she looked down. She was astonished as she took in that all 4 of her paws now had curved toes. They didn't feel bad. It didn't hurt. If anything, they felt a little more loose. Kit Kit got caught up wiggling her newly rounded paws and feeling the new sensations that they brought. In a strange way that she couldn't quite explain, Kit Kit began to feel happier. She hadn't remembered being particularly sad before, but something had certainly changed. The mouse then came over to grab Kit Kit's attention, and when she looked at him, he pointed. She looked in the direction that the mouse's finger led her eyes to, and her jaw dropped. A whole town made up of only curvy lines. The clouds, the houses, the cars, everything had curving lines and loops. The mouse then pointed again in a different direction, and Kit Kit looked over to see a sign that read, "Welcome to the land of loops." Kit Kit's curiosity overcame her, and she flung the mouse onto her back and ran down the mountain as fast as she could. Once at the bottom, she'd realized that her ears had curved, her tail had curved, and even some of her whiskers were now curly. But not every part of her developed these curly lines. Kit Kit noticed that much like the mouse, the rocks, and the weed she had seen today, she was now composed of both straight and curvy lines. She felt
gorgeous.
She confidently strutted down the street of the land of loops, all the while catching the attention of many of the citizens living there. People oohed and they awed and they marveled at Kit Kit's unique appearance. With all the lines they'd ever seen being curved, Kit Kit and the mouse's straight and curvy line balance really made people take note. Suddenly, a child reached out to pet Kit Kit, and the crowd surrounding were baffled at what happened next. Upon stroking the fur on Kit Kit's back, some of the curvy lines on the child's hands developed into straight lines. The citizens of the land of loops oohed and they awed once again. And within a short few seconds, the child had completely developed into a unique combination of both straight and curvy lines, just like Kit Kit. The child then began to jump up and down in excitement as he fully took in his newfound uniqueness. You see, the land of loops has always operated on fluidity. The people who live there seem to thrive on spontaneity and self-expression. As a society, they value creativity and freedom and overall no linear thinking whatsoever. And although this may sound great, it often leads the citizens to feeling a little bit drained. Think of it like this. When you were a kid, you may have thought that you wanted to have ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day, but if you actually had ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day, you would feel kind of bad. And that is the situation that the Land of Loops citizens have found themselves in. A lifetime of all freedom and no structure has left them feeling a little unstable. So that's why when the child pets Kit Kit and transforms, he finds himself feeling very stable with an inner compass that just feels balanced. Upon seeing the child change for the better, the crowd lines up in a single filed line, all ready to pet Kit Kit. One by one, each citizen eagerly pets Kit Kit, and they are all transformed into uniquely balanced versions of themselves. Soon enough, with everyone now being half and half, the town begins to transform. Buildings now have straight edges and curvy rooftops. Trees have swirly trunks and straight leaves. But perhaps most importantly, the clouds themselves transform. They change from their previous fully rounded shapes to now half-rounded and half-jagged lines. With everything now feeling nice and balanced, the citizens of the Land of Loops invite Kit Kit to stay forever. At first, Kit Kit is very pleased by the offer, but then she remembers her home and her humans back in Straight Line Valley. She can't help but feel sad because unlike the Land of Loops, Straight Line Valley is a very rigid and dull place. In the valley, you are not encouraged to think outside of the box. You are not encouraged to be unique. You are not encouraged to do anything rather than just live a very straightforward life. In fact, up until today, Kit Kit had never thought about being anything more than what she was. She'd never thought about being unique and thinking outside of the box. Ever. Now she had this overwhelming urge to go back home and share this newfound gift with her community. While all of this was going through Kit Kit's head, the citizens of the Land of Loops had picked her up and were ready to haul her to her new home. But Kit Kit could not let this happen. She quickly jumped down and ran as fast as she could back to the mountainside. And the crowd, not wanting to lose their newfound friend, ran after her. Kit Kit ran up and over the mountain all the way down to the other side, the crowd following her all the way. Now in the town center of Straight Line Valley, the ground began to rumble. The jagged citizens looked up in bewilderment and saw a rounded and straight line Kit Kit, followed by
rounded and straight line people.
Some citizens got spooked and ran and hid, while others just stood there baffled. As Kit Kit and the crowd behind her ran through the valley, strange things started happening. The pavement began to crack and curly-leaved flowers sprung out. The once fully jagged lines of homes and cars began to bend and twist. And then, as if it were all in one instant, half curvy and half jagged clouds began raining down curvy and jagged raindrops on the valley. As the raindrops hit handfuls at a time, the jagged citizens started transforming. Almost immediately, the citizens cried out in joy as if they could feel the rigid expectations of them being lifted off of their shoulders. Both of the town's citizens then came together and collectively celebrated all night long. Oh yeah, and they blew a hole in the mountain and became one big happy community. But I didn't have time to go into all of that, so here's the final page. And and done. If you made it to this point in the video, I thank you so much for watching. Also, I'm thinking about starting a new series on my channel where I ask AI to tell me what to draw, so let me know in the comments below if you guys would actually be interested in seeing that. With that being said, I hope you have a very good rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!